Welcome to day 5 of Together We Rise Summit, and what a journey it's been. And I'm excited to say that the book is still holding steady in the #1 spot. And just thanks to everyone for all of your support all week. It's been amazing. And all week we've walked through the sacred terrain of healing, from wounds to wisdom, from suffering to purpose, from silence to self-expression, and into the power of community. And today we arrive at integration, the embodiment, ascension in action. Because healing isn't something we talk about or reflect on, it's actually something we live. It's how we lead with integrity, how we move through the world with clarity, alignment, and love. You'll hear from co-authors who are walking that talk, who've turned their inner work into outer impact, who've woven their healing into their parenting, their partnerships, their leadership, and their presence. It's not about perfection. It's about frequency, about choosing to return again and again to what's true, what's aligned, and what serves the greater good. So today, as we close this beautiful summit, let it be an invitation to live your healing, to lead from your soul, and to love from a higher place. So let's begin. We're going to have each co-author introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with Dr. Milgram. And Dr. Milgram, how do you embody your healing in everyday life?
Well, every day is a little different. Um, but in general, I work to apply what I call my theory of ABC. And that is A is alignment of the body, B is breathing of the spirit, and C is consciousness of the mind. I believe that everything we're dealing with in this life and in our body and in our mind and spirit is related. Like anything can cause anything. Any pattern or problem can be caused by pure physical, pure chemical, or pure emotional or mental or spiritual. But ultimately, even though we can talk about them as separate and distinct, body, mind, spirit, body, spirit, mind, they are all interrelated. So I work to align my body, stretch, move, and tune in and listen to my body. I work to open my breathing because anytime we're stressed, we inhibit our breathing. And so I work to stretch my body through physical stretch, but also through the physical stretch that happens with deep breathing. But then I also work to stretch my consciousness to be able to access, perceive what am I actually doing in my mind that may be contributing or completely causing what I'm dealing with. So that's my basic theory, ABC. I believe that the physical body, whatever postural attitude we assume, there's a certain pressure there, and we can learn to link up or integrate the pressures of body with the pressures of spirit, which I see as how much inspiration do you do to let in oxygen and chi? And then where our consciousness of our mind can go into our body, that creates a tiny little pressure, but very key. And I work to integrate and let those all become hopefully gracefully integrated. So what I do daily can be different from day to day or from moment to moment, because the real key in healing is to be open in the gift of the present moment to maybe even do something new, more loving, more creative than before. So I try to go into my own healing process energy field with fresh eyes every moment so that I can catch the inspiration of spirit. Um, Another way to say all that is we all hold postural attitudes, and every posture physically is a reflection of an attitude. And every attitude we have is reflected in our posture. So anytime we change our postural attitude, even just a little bit, it helps our body, our spirit, and our mind to communicate better. So sometimes in my personal process, I just shift my personal attitude and breathe into it and notice where my consciousness goes. Um,
Yeah.
we have a left and a right brain, and the left brain is constantly in analysis of what is logical and rational and basically works through compartmentalization. And then our right brain is more holographic oriented and looking at the whole picture and relying on intuition. And so I work to access both sides of my brain and as well as the central part. Um, my big theory I call Milgram's theory of the central midline brain structures, and that is that sometimes we're feeling kind of blown out in our hemispheres and our logical thinking and our ability to trust what we intuit as the whole picture. And what I find is um, just as some people, when they go blind, they learn to hear better. And when people go deaf, they learn to see better. I believe that when we're like, we can't figure out what's logical anymore, or we can't access the whole picture because of some thoughts or emotions, we can still go into the central midline brain structures that cause us to breathe deep, that cause us to regulate our autonomic nerve responses so we can be not in a state of fight or fright or flight driven by adrenaline, sympathetic nervous system, but we get into the parasympathetic nervous system of relaxation and internal response instead of external reactivity.
Yeah.
So,
Hello?
in a nutshell or a turtle shell, that's what I do every day, kind of all day, all night,
Yeah,
to help myself.
Could
that's
you,
great.
could you really quick tell us what you do professionally? I think
Oh,
we missed.
I am a chiropractor since 1982. I'm a holistic oriented cranial chiropractor. Um, I do regular adjusting of bones when I think it's necessary, but I also do a lot of soft tissue work
Mm.
on muscles, ligaments, tendons, visceral organs, and I do a lot of cranial work. I've taken a few hundred hours of continuing education in the last 8 years on the diagnosis and treatment of brain injury from concussion. And I use that as much as possible because the brain is supposed to control the body. And if we can fix the brain, then the body works a lot better.
Yeah.
So again, I work to look at the whole being of a person and not just compartmentalize my view of them through physical or through biochemical or through emotional, but work to integrate them all.
Yeah, that is amazing. So many nuggets in that that we can
Thank
kind of
you.
unpack. Portia, I wanted to kind of shift forward. So, what spiritual or energetic practices keep you aligned in your everyday? Oh, we have you on mute still.
There we go. I love that question, Kristen. That's a beautiful question. So staying in alignment. Um, Here's how this feels for me. I know everyone's different, but here's how this feels for me, is that some days I feel just so in harmony with the alignment of who I am with spirit and my relation to all that is, all creatures, all beings. And then other days, and I'm flowing with the wind. I'm like the eagle, just going on those upper thermal drafts and playing, or the ravens that play here on my property at Wild Rose Ranch. And then other days I can be like a leaf being blown off the tree, and I'm at the mercy of the wind because I've momentarily forgotten who I am and what my relationship is with all that is. So staying in alignment for me is a dance. It is a beautiful dance, a swirling, beautiful dance that is neither right or wrong, and is sometimes looks to others as if, oh wow, she is so in alignment and she's really got it together, which always cracks me up when people say that. She's really got it going on, and she's just so calm and peaceful and patient, and nothing can upset her. And then other days are like, are you okay? In all of those spaces, though, I believe that I'm in alignment with my spirit because I came here to experience this place, this physical place that is also a multidimensional place. I didn't come here to escape. I didn't come here because I was being punished. I didn't come here because I need to ascend because I'm already ascended, as are all of us. I came to walk a path of remembrance with everyone else, of remembering the true nature of who I am, and the true nature of who everyone else is as well. So that is it, that human experience, while it may look off balance or wacky sometimes, for me is also alignment because I came here to experience all that. Now, what do I do with to when I know I am literally being blown about like a leaf in the wind? Is I do a lot of what Dr. David Milgram just talked about, and getting in alignment and the deep breathing and centering and grounding myself. And here in my apothecary, my herbal lab, is one of the wonderful ways I have of grounding myself. When I'm working with, I have several hundred different herbs and here in all kinds of different forms. I'm making tinctures over here, capsules over there, teas over there, and a lot of them custom made for people. And when my hands are in the earth here in the lab, I'm really grounded, and I'm remembering, this formula that's going out to somebody is healing them, and in some small way, I got to be part of that journey, and it grounds me, and I breathe love into that. And then Sylvie knows this so well. My favorite place to be is out in our forests and checking on all the Valerian ecosystem and the creeping barberry systems and all the ecosystems, the Usnea systems. And that's very grounding and reminds me to do exactly what Dr. David Milgram teaches people to do. So I love that he started with that because it's just I so beautifully woven into how I aspire to live my daily life.
Oh, I love that. That is so beautiful. I love that it's supposed to look messy and kind of flowing and moving. Can you tell us, Portia, what you do?
Um, Let me just turn that around and see if I can show you. So that's kind of what I do
Nice.
Love.
in here. And that's just a part of it because that's what fits in here. There's two other rooms with more. And so motherisland.com is the website for all of this. But then aside from that is the private consulting, and I work with doctors and nurse practitioners and healers and energetic healers to help put together custom formulas for their clients in whatever form that person will take, because we can make the best natural holistic medicines to support our body and the world, but it works best when you take it I have found. So when you actually ingest it. So I work with the practitioner and their client to find how will this person show up every day? What is the best form to put this in so that they will just easily and naturally follow through with taking whatever the formula is. For some people, they're big tea drinkers. Others can't stand it. It is, some herbs are very strong, can't stand it. They prefer a tincture. And then others like, can you just capsule it for me? And then I have other clients that have been with me for years, and they just want the formula in a powdered form. They call it Portia's dirt. And so, and they just swirl it in a little bit of juice in the morning and then a little bit in the night. So that's basically what I do. The public facing one is the motherisland.com, and then the private one is me really just working with practitioners around the world. Yeah, I love it. I
I
get to
love
play. I get to play all the time and do math, my two favorite things. So yeah.
we definitely are going to be having a conversation later to learn so I can learn more. I've got some ideas. Thank you so much for all that. Laura, how do you lead without losing yourself?
Thank you so much, Kristen. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Laura Kimmel. I'm a poet and a composer and a singer and a multimedia artist, and I'm also the author of the Love Coach Trilogy Book One that I'm so grateful to do with EP House and Kristen Bentley. And I'm really honored to have written a chapter for this beautiful book and to be sitting and talking to you both, or all, excuse me, all five, six of us, and with everyone who's written for this wonderful book. In terms of staying in alignment, I intend to fall in love with every moment of the day. Sometimes that's more challenging than others because sometimes the day is very difficult. I've found that an unconditionally loving perspective for the person in front of me or the people in front of me, the musicians I'm working with, the students that I'm teaching, to not try to change anything about them or what's going on, and to embrace whatever's going on for them and whatever's going on for me. And as a result, embrace and unconditionally love the communities that we're all a part of, the countries that we're a part of, and the world that we're all a part of. That is my deep intention, especially now, I think, especially now.
Oh.
When you speak, it feels like a poem. It's so lyrical and beautiful. And I wrote down, you said, fall in love with every moment of the day. Not just parts, not just maybe one moment, but to find a way to fall in love with every moment of the day. And so, can you give us some ideas of how to put that into action? For those of us that are thinking, Laura, that sounds lovely in theory. However, there are moments in my day that I cannot even imagine. I can't even fathom that being a possibility for me.
Absolutely. And thank you for that kind compliment also. Thank you. But absolutely. I'll give a couple of examples. Sometimes, you wake up in a day and you have the most gorgeous, fabulous feeling, or you feel horrendous, but you remember to try to have a fabulous feeling. Or you wake up in the day and you feel horrendous because you're worried about something, and you can't remember to feel wonderful about something in the day.
Sure.
So, in especially the first moment of the day, no matter what feeling or thought comes to mind, I find that the best place to start. To have the compassion for one's own feelings and thoughts. And if you want to get a little esoteric, to feel as I feel that actually none of our thoughts or feelings are really that separate anyway. So some of our thoughts and feelings are originating from us. Some of them are originating from world events. Some of them are originating from community things. Whether it's personal or family difficulty, tragedy, or friendship, or whether it's conflict on the world stage. All these things, I think, impact each other. So having a compassionate, emotional hug for that moment, I find tremendous. In a moment of teaching, another singer, both in a collegiate situation or in a private situation, sometimes people, especially in singing and in the work that all of you do, also I'm sure you see people, sometimes when they're coming to you for help in some kind of a way, all sorts of things become revealed that they didn't intend. Sometimes there's a lot of crying. Sometimes there's a lot of exuberance and laughing. And so having a compassionate feeling for that moment of wherever they are, and creating a very open space to not necessarily, quote, improve a situation, but for allowing that situation, whatever it is, to be, I find incredibly helpful, and allows for movement. So I find that the urge for change sometimes creates a holding or a rigidity occasionally. And so I sometimes feel like allowing for whatever is happening in that moment to let things become more fluid. And then with regards to singing or music making and writing as well, sometimes singing, especially in performance or in rehearsal also, it's not sounding great. It's just, it's just not sounding great. It's just not good either from me or from another person or from people I'm working with. It is just not sounding good. And, but then you remember, or then I remember, or then I try to remember the notion of what is good, is actually not true. It's completely, any sound actually, in my opinion, that any human makes is completely valid and important in every moment. So if the sound is struggling, or we would perceive it as struggling, it's actually reflecting something that needs to be presented. So, especially with things on, and I have music on Spotify too. It's not, there's no criticism there, but sometimes things are produced in such a way, which is great. They sound perfect in a particular way. Sometimes we want to sound that way, or in writing or creation of any kind. So opening up to things that we might consider not beautiful or not pleasing can be incredibly, incredibly powerful. And that dissonance makes the grass even greener.
Yeah.
The
Oh
other side.
gosh, there were so many things that you said. The compassionate hug, I love that, for those moments. And then also to hold space for those moments in life that are not necessarily perceived as ones that we are going to love in the moment, because perhaps it's teaching us a lesson. It's teaching us a moment of maybe humility or gratitude, or there's something in the moment that we are going to learn from. And that, in essence, is what happens when we allow ourselves to step into that higher frequency space. We begin to see those moments as exactly what you're talking about. And I love the analogy of comparing it to song and music, because life is pretty lyrical, isn't it? It is very, and which is, I love this group right here, because how perfect of a conversation when we're talking about this artistic, creative space. you all are very creative individuals. And so I know that this kind of speaks to all of you. So I wanted to ask just one last question to all of you as we kind of wrap up this incredible talk. What was your most challenging part of writing your chapter? And Dr. Milgram, we're going to start with you.
Uh, it's kind of like music, like she was just describing. Um, the best music has major and minor chords.
Mhm.
Like hallelujah music gets a little dull after a while with all major chords. And I guess the challenge was to what to weave that's kind of minor, saddish, but weave it into the joy and the glad. And just looking at, well, what is really what's called for? What are people hungering for? What needs to be said? And I work to do that.
Yeah. What was your process with that? How did you come to that understanding of what it was you needed to share in your chapter?
Hmm. Well, I don't know really. I always say truth is the medicine and awareness is the healer. So
Wow.
I just started writing what first take was I just started writing what was on my mind and in my heart. And
Mhm.
then I looked at it to see if, if it was any value. And then I rewrote it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. So you just
Yeah.
allowed whatever was on your heart to come out onto the page, which is a really powerful process of being
Yeah.
kind of the catalyst of the message is really what happens there, right? We become the conduit for that message
Right.
delivering to the world. That's
Right. I
beautiful.
believe that as a healer and in all our personal healing, the real goal is to be a catalyst
Yeah.
because a catalyst, like an enzyme,
Mm,
initiates a whole cascade of transformative changes, but doesn't use up any energy of its own.
mm,
So that's really the goal. We want to do as much as we can for others, but we don't want to use up our energy. But if we can tune into where we could catalyze the person
mm.
like an enzyme, that'll keep the ball rolling and healing.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love the balance of the two sides of the brain too. I see that in the way that you're speaking and what you're sharing with us. It's really profound. I'm really enjoying
Mm.
that. Thank you so much. Portia, what about you?
Gosh, again, Dr. David Milgram said it so well.
Mm,
Um,
Thank you.
for me, the hardest part was getting in flow, and using the wholeness, the fullness of my being in approaching this. Because at first I was like, well, do I just focus on being struck by lightning and the death experience that came from that, and how hard that was for them to keep me alive, and what happened after that? Do I focus on the spiritual and herbal medicine teachings of my elders that I got to grow up with, which led me into science, to really focus on the science of healing and in naturopathic medicine and as a clinical psychologist? Or do I focus on how, my mom, to get us away from a horrifying situation, finally found her courage with one friend who was encouraging her because she was all alone with 4 little ones to feed. And we left in the middle of the night with nothing but the clothes on our back and went to bed hungry every night. And how did that go in my life? What do I focus on? That was like the turmoil of my little the hamster wheel in my left brain, just going
mm,
like this. And just, I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to do this chapter. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to have to let Sylvie and Kristen know they're going to find somebody else because obviously I can't land.
mm.
So that's really how I began. And that was my biggest challenge was me. It really was. So I was really that leaf being blown about by the wind until I remembered that I can be a wind walker and flow with the wind. And I just started writing. I gave myself permission to be so imperfect imperfect with the storytelling and imperfect with leaving things out or putting something. Just let it all go and let the words flow out and then let that go. Because I thought, well, we do have a publisher, and maybe it's her job to look at this with better eyes than me. And I clicked send. I really just let go and let that flow happen. And I sent it to you right away, Kristen. I was just like, because I was not going to go back in with that hamster wheel of mine. And then I waited, that feedback was like, oh, tell us more about this and tell us more about that. And I'm like, really? This isn't getting too wordy. So this whole process for me was this amazing dance of life, and it truly encapsulated and pictured how my human experience is. That sometimes I'm completely in flow and I'm so zen, right? And other times I'm like that. So it was just a great teacher being able to participate in this. It was a great teacher for me to remember that to just let go, that the imperfections, as Laura was speaking about in the music, are also part of the music.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
thank you all for allowing me to walk this journey with you.
Yes. I love that. All of us, when we think of the stories that we want to share, so all of you that are on, those of you that are watching, when you think of all the stories in your life, many times we do think that, well, which one do I share? There's so many. I've had so many experiences, and how do these even come together? And the incredible thing is that all of us in our lifetime, there's themes that weave through our experiences and our stories, aren't there? There's something underlying that connects them all together and weaves them all. And your chapter, when you sent that over, it did that. Even though you talked about a few different things, you started here and then you brought us back, and it flowed and it worked and it all came together because of that theme of who you are, your story. So we think of like the stories, but then there's our story, our heart of who we are, the purpose and mission that we're serving as we're here. And that's how it comes through. If we, again, like you were just saying, just trust the process, right? And that is so hard sometimes. Laura, what about you?
I appreciate hearing these processes of you both very much. I think the most challenging thing was because I primarily write as a poet and as a lyricist. I'm used to writing or packing in as much as I can in a very short space, in a very sort of tight space, and the same with performance as well. And so I thought to myself, how can I lengthen this written song into a meditative experience for the reader, that it becomes their own voice with their own rhythm and melody? And well, I did write a few poems for the chapter. It's not primarily that. It has a linear style, and I hope, yes, invites the reader to rest in a washing of words and sounds as they interpret them, and that then also vibrate in their own body and mind. Because I do feel that whether we make the actual sound or not, the word itself, the organization of the vowel and the consonant together, and in the different accents that we've grown up with, create a new meaning and a new interpretation and a new frequency marker that creates a new pattern and a complementary pattern. And so I thought about how that could be complementary and co-working with all the other wonderful authors of this book. And so while it is called The Sacredness of Being, a love letter to humanity, that is with all of us together writing and those reading it. So that was my challenge, or that was, and I feel good about where that has become, and I look so forward to, connecting with readers of all the chapters together as this community continues to grow, that you, Kristen, and Sylvie have so wonderfully initiated.
Oh, what a perfect note, pun intended, for us to wrap this whole summit and this whole week up on what you just shared, because that really is what's underneath all of this. When we read each other's stories, we see ourselves reflected in them. And as I was saying yesterday, books create community. They create a collective of people coming together. Maybe the details of our stories are very, very, very different. But as I've shared with you all, that in reading each of these stories, the readers will connect to every single one of you. Sylvie and I have connected to every single one of you because our lives may be different, the details might be different, but the emotion and the feelings are the same, and it's what connects us all together. And because of that, allows us to also rise and ascend as we lift each other up.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So
We have David read what he wrote about the book real quick and then close it out.
yeah.
What's that?
Do you want to read what you wrote real quick and then we'll close
I
it out?
wanted to say real quick, I wanted to ask Portia if she ever thought of calling her office Portia's Portal.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, because it looks beautiful, all your herb display. Okay, so this poem, I woke up 2 mornings ago and I thought, oh, I'm going to get on this Zoom call Friday. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll sing a song, a little ditty. And then about an hour later, my inner voice said, why don't you write a song called Together We Rise? And I went, oh, that sounds good. That'd be a great chorus. So here we go. I figured this out on guitar yesterday, but again, I haven't played that much lately, so I'm going to save it. But here's the poem, Together We Rise. In going on our paths, it's all too often we must go alone. So we might find the pearls hidden deep in our inner ocean. Appreciate our special gifts and the dusty jewels in our midst. Though in cleansing the teardrops from our eyes, it's together we rise. No matter where you are and whatever you surmise is going on, no matter what is happening in the now and however you're feeling, you are the key element to catalyze the prospects of your own rescue. For in embracing the union of love that never dies, together we rise. In growing up to unfold the colors in the light of your heart and mind, it's you who can open up a door by choosing to be compassionate and kind. And as each one of us is glad to unfold the petals of peace in our inner worlds, we become like a great phoenix bird. For when we're wise, together we rise. No matter what you think or believe or actually perceive, no matter what ties you have or connections that bind. It's in the receiving and giving of unconditional love, agape, that heartfelt laughter can emerge from tears, for together we rise. In keeping with how the original spirit is a trusty guide inside, and how each tree stands with the others to be strongly rooted. Be glad to shine the colors of the real you, your true inner dream. For as harmony's song reigns all across the skies, together we rise. Whether your body feels like dancing, being royally rife with life, energy, whether your spirit hears the music of abundantly flowing love, energy, whether your mind sees the waves to keep shining on with light, energy, whatever you philosophize, your truth lives to be united, for together we rise. No matter what just happened with you, or from times way long past, no matter how many times you loved the blessed you could, and it didn't last, it's still tonally up to what you choose to do in the gifts of this present moment that may give you the very wings you always wanted to fly. Together we rise.
Wow.
Thank
What
you.
an incredible way to close out this summit. Thank you so much, Dr. Milgram. Thank you, Laura and Portia,
Welcome.
and
Thanks for
all
inspiring
of
us.
our co-workers for showing us what it looks like to live, lead, and love from a higher frequency. And to everyone who's journeyed with us all week long, thank you. Together We Rise is available now, and in every story, it is a living, breathing reminder that healing isn't the end. It's the beginning of how we show up, speak truth, and serve with purpose. My hope is that this book leaves you not only inspired, but activated to embody your own healing, to rise your own way, and to remember that your presence is part of the collective shift. Thank you for being part of this with us. Keep rising, and we'll see you out there.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.